With the social distancing norms and travel restrictions in place, the education sector has undergone a radical change. Online education is ubiquitous, which has presented new challenges to the learners and teachers alike. In some places, though, schools and colleges are opening for the offline mode, and while it was normal before, students are still facing difficulties and challenges in adjusting.
It is true that online education brings a lot of flexibility, but there are still concerns about its efficacy compared to offline, that is, traditional face-to-face teaching learning process. Hello everyone, I am Ananya Singh. I am here with Ananya Pai and Parvathi Pillai, and today we are presenting a discussion on online and offline education as our very first episode for season 2. Actually, the concept behind online education is to make learning process interesting and interactive for learners. In offline classes, students and teachers need to travel to school, colleges, university, etc. With online classes, both the teachers and the students are in the comfort of their homes.
Here, while India enjoys a wide geographic and cultural diversity, it also suffers from a huge socio-economic divide. I would say offline education is more suitable because there are numerous students belonging to remote areas with poor network infrastructure.
Yes, Ananya, it is true. Only a small part of the Indian population has access to online education right now. Interrupted power supply, weak or non-existent internet connectivity, and unaffordability to buy necessary devices are major concerns. For instance, a school teacher in Ratnagiri in Maharashtra says, in a class of 40 students after 2 months of online classes, around 20 students regularly attend class with whatever device and connection they have. Around 5 to 8 students are completely absent till date, and rest are fluctuating.
Online education gives greater flexibility to choose courses and the time of study. It is favored especially by working professionals to learn specific skills for career advancement or those who want to study solely out of interest. They can acquire learning material online. The study material in online education could be texts, audios, notes, videos, and images. They could look back at it whenever they want.
But there is also a human touch associated with offline education where learning is not only confined to the walls of the classroom but also to the human interaction that occurs in canteens, libraries, playgrounds, etc. Offline education is designed to induce character development and to offer something that is beyond studies.
I would say that online education is known to offer the benefit of synergy. Here, the format employed makes room for dynamic communication between students and the teachers. Through these communications, sources are shared and an open-ended synergy evolves through a learning process. When each person bestows a view or opinion through discussion and comments on others' work, it benefits the student to learn better. This unique advantage is manifested in a student-centered virtual learning environment that the online learning format alone can contribute to.
I can say that offline education has been increasing emphasis on two-way communication between the students and teachers. Here, students are encouraged to take active participation in the classroom discussion. There will be regular written tests that act as means of evaluation alongside making students competitive is a prominent feature of offline education. It provides an opportunity for the students to go to the laboratory and have hands-on experience. This helps the student to become aware of the ground realities and the implication of the studies.
I could also say that the classroom-based face-to-face learning experience matters a lot when it comes to personality development and building confidence. There is a very limited scope of extracurricular activities in the case of online learning. Recently, former IIT professor and Padma Shri awardee Ajoy Kumar Ray told PTI that with the advent of online learning, the attention span of students is on the decline, and the teachers need the training to make academic content engaging to hold their attention during the limited period. Developing thinking skills among students is another challenge for tutors, she said.
When classes are conducted online, people can immediately contact instructors through chats or emails. There is no need to wait for working hours. Online education can also help one be in a mix of a diverse group of people from varied educational, social, cultural, and philosophical backgrounds. The subject matter is always available on the internet, unlike traditional education.
Online education also gives one a lot of autonomy, which may be critical for our learning. As we normally know, using the computer too much can make the students prone to plagiarism. Online education may also hinder physical development. There are several distractions on the internet through advertisements, and this might interrupt our learning.
We can also see that online education also has significantly less self assessment as there is very little scope of monitoring by the instructor. The biggest challenge in the case of online education is the self discipline, patience, and sincerity during the learning process of the learners.
Moreover, when we think about transportation, the lack of transportation means another challenge for students living in remote locations. There is also a huge manpower requirement in maintaining the campus of institutions offering offline education, which contributes to the costs of education as well. Nearly 54% of students in India now feel comfortable with the online learning model, according to the survey by Brainly, an online learning platform.
In India, a majority of teachers, 43%, expressed that they were not satisfied with teaching online, and 9% of the participants were not at all happy with it, the survey said. As the World Education blog of UNESCO states, we are no longer in an emergency but in a protracted crisis that is increasingly devastating, not only educationally but socially, economically, and mentally. The worrying effects of the pandemic on the learning experience can already be sensed by learners, teachers, and parents alike.
When we look into other countries, for instance, in Moldova, according to a very recent study, 89% of the teachers surveyed that they noticed a decrease in student performance during the pandemic. Moreover, half of the parents of the students surveyed in the study confirmed that since the beginning of COVID 19, their children complain more often of not understanding the learning materials and their children's results got worse. With diminished learning and likely increased student failure, COVID 19 will likely exacerbate the vertical mismatch between graduates' academic qualifications and their jobs. In a macroeconomic context, where also the aggregate demand will most likely be affected by the pandemic. The economic recession is very likely to increase the rate of unemployment, especially among young graduates.
I would say that online education provides opportunities to advance career. In the Emirates survey, career advancement was respondents' main motivation for furthering their education. Career advancements may include upskilling or reskilling, earning a promotion or salary increase, or switching career fields. Since online education is a flexible option, this format appeals to working professionals.
When we talk about online education, we can see that students are having problems like anxieties about being judged by their teachers and not being able to connect with them. So they often judge their performance themselves and feel that their marks might get cut if they do not attend classes. This is particularly seen in adolescents as their self-image and identity mean a lot to them.
Student engagement increases student satisfaction, enhances students' motivation to learn, reduces the sense of isolation, and improves students' performance in online courses. Online education is a good choice for people who are time poor, who are juggling work, personal life, and studies.
Nowadays, I see children having some of the common disorders like they have social phobia and generalized anxiety. Additionally, I have noticed that those diagnosed with conditions like OCD are getting negative thoughts that are getting reinforced as they are at home all the time. For example, someone who has a compulsion to wash their hands is doing it more now and then due to their fear of germs as a result of the pandemic.
Now, most people have adapted to online studies. So, when going back to traditional learning, the real challenge starts. The first one, I think, is socio-emotional support. It is of utmost importance to help students develop their socio-emotional skills when they are back in school. Schools should provide counseling and support to all students along with sessions in managing emotions and rebuilding their social skills.
Ananya, I would say fear and anxiety and parent adjustment. Another challenge will be to assure and convince parents that the school is safe for their children. Maintaining safety at school will also be a challenge.
Students also face problems like adjusting to the environment, and it will take time for them to restore their routine schoolworks. Giving students time to readjust is the only way to help them through this period of adjustment.
When we think about students' education after pandemic, schools should conduct both online and offline classes. They must make sure that the students who are not coming to school don't fall behind the rest of the class. Following hybrid class models despite restarting physical classes is one of the effective means to address this issue. But this also poses a challenge for teachers since they have to manage two forums simultaneously, and schools may have to largely invest in both technology and infrastructure to maintain them.
After listening to the things you have said, I think it is not possible to identify the better alternative of the two because each one has got distinct advantages and disadvantages over the other. Traditional education system through offline-based face-to-face classrooms cannot be replaced. Online education is good for specific courses and can act as a supplement to the education process to make it more interactive and interesting.
With this statement out, we would like to conclude this episode of the podcast. Thank you for listening and stay tuned for our upcoming episodes.